Now, I know on this channel, the main focus is really giving you the male perspective in terms of how we perceive women and their actions and things like that to kind of let women know the real deal, right? A lot of guys are not going to tell you the real deal because they're trying to run their game. They don't want to let you know what they're really all about, but I don't care. So I'll tell it like it is because I'm not running any games, so um, it doesn't affect me at all. It may affect many players for the women that listen attentively, but for me personally, it doesn't have any effect. So there's nothing to stop me from saying whatever. So that's normally the theme, and this is a little bit different because we're looking here at get real results with women. This is actually obviously aimed at guys in terms of giving tips to guys, but these are women doing this. And as a guy, I have a lot to say about them and the way they dress and things that they say, and I think it could be valuable information for another woman who might actually either want to carry themselves the way these women do, or just in general might be a learning experience. Anyway, let's get into the video.
Hey guys, it's me, Kezia, the world's leading female dating expert for men.
All right, the leading dating expert for men. Um, where do I start with this? Uh, wow. Okay, so these women are supposed to be some kind of dating experts, and wow, I gotta think for a second. I'm gonna get right to it. Boobs, 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 boobs everywhere. Um, if they and I realize and understand that they're trying to teach men how to attract women, so they don't necessarily say that they have any particular skills with attracting men. However, first impression kind of guys that these women are going to attract are going to be men that are just looking to have sex. So if you look at these women and you just think they're dressed nicely and you dress like this, just know that you have to accept responsibility for the type of guys you attract. This is the way I look at it. And a lot of men, so-called good men, will look at this. Um, Showing your boobs and showing your body, that's easy. Any woman with a shape can do that, right? And you have a lot of really simple guys who will fall for that stuff because they just think with their little brains and they see boobs and they think sex and they think about having sex with you. And if sex is what you want, then this is a great way to do it. Especially the one on the left here, she didn't even have the sensibility to look in the mirror and see how she's all like lopsided. You can see her cleavage. And this is me as a guy. I mean, I'm not into fashion or whatever, but I mean, it's so bad. How can you miss it? You'd have to be, well, I take that back. Some guys are that bad and oblivious. But anyway, nonetheless, it's so obvious. I mean, you see the cleavage is off center. It's off to the right, right? You see the her V comes in, one place, and then the cleavage is off to the side, and it's just like look in the mirror. I mean, you don't even have enough sensibility to take a look at yourself before you get on camera. Anyway, um, and it's just showing up all the boobs. It's like if you really had some skills. First of all, guys to me, a lot of guys can be very simple in terms of sexually speaking. So in terms of attracting guys, attracting them and keeping them is two different things, by the way. But all right, just show some body, man, show some skin, cleavage, whatever, and you can get a lot of guys looking at you and trying to talk to you. Um, but the thing about it is, being as simple as guys can be in terms of their how easily they can be attracted to you physically, anyway. Why would you need to show up so much cleavage? Right? That's the cheesiest thing to do. That is equivalent of me making a movie, and instead of coming up with a deep storyline or something, I'm just going to put sex and violence, right? The trailer, you're just gonna see scantily clad women with boobs everywhere and showing their butts and saying sexual things or whatever, and then you see some explosions, boom, 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 lowest common denominator. And that's how I'm going to sell my tickets because I'm not intelligent enough to write a proper script and a proper storyline that's engaging, that people will actually appreciate. That's what these women look like, a cheap movie that is really just for kids, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds who are not very discerning. And that's the most of what these women will attract, little young boys. Some of them will be uh, physically grown men, but mentally boys or teenagers. And that's who they're going to attract. No serious man is going to take these women serious because they're not dressed very seriously. They're dressed a very silly manner. Faces are all painted up. Look at this one on the left. She's got all this like shadow, like so her eyelids look black. Black skin is dead skin. Like why would you want to have your skin look like dead skin, right? And then I realize women wear makeup to cover up their imperfections and things like that. But you know what? Are you gonna just be wearing this mask, forever? I mean, if I'm gonna marry a woman, I am gonna marry you for you, right? Imperfections included. You can't wear a mask, forever, right? And it's like the idea that you're gonna trick me. I mean, I know that this is not how you really look. I know you're covering things up. You know what I mean? It's like I hate to use this terminology, but it's like a guy wants to know what he's buying. I know he's not buying a woman. That's why I hated to say that. I know some women will find it hard to get beyond this choice of words, but if you're gonna marry a woman or get engaged in a long-term relationship, this is something that you're committing to. You're committing to this partnership with this person, and the thing about it is, part of that is physical. Now, that shouldn't be the priority, but it's a reality. Part of it is physical, right? I mean, are you gonna get in a relationship with someone who looks hideous to you, and what looks hideous to you might be attractive to somebody else? But that's besides the point. The point is you want some level of physical attraction. Even someone like me who is very, very lenient when it comes to physical looks. Um, I just want a woman to at least look okay, right? I'm not gonna. I really would. Well, I shouldn't say I'm not going to, but I'd really like to avoid being the woman that is physically looks to me like unattractive, right? I don't need a supermodel, don't need somebody really hot, I don't need somebody pretty. Obviously, the better she looks, the better, but I just need that I don't look at you and every time physically I'm looking at you, I'm just like, oh man, you know what I mean? I don't want to be thinking like that. And if you've got really bad skin, covering it up with makeup is not changing the fact that you have really bad skin. You know what I mean? Are you gonna just constantly have makeup all the time, and you're gonna get out of bed in the morning and sneak into your thing and do your makeup? So it's gonna come off eventually. You know what I mean? So to each their own. But these are just my initial comments about these two ladies. Let's let the video play some more here.
Alpha women are all bitches. Alpha women do tend to hand out a lot more shit tests.
Very attractive, a woman who curses. Very, very attractive. This is the kind of woman that you can take home to mom. And for the guys that say this and then themselves curse, shame on you. Um, I I feel like I hold women to a higher standard. I realize that that's not necessarily the most logical thing because just because she has different anatomy, I mean she's a human. She should be as respectful as anyone else. Why should a woman be more respectful than a guy just because she has different genitalia? That doesn't really make any sense. But although I don't really buy into a lot of cultural rules, I I do have some cultural preferences. I'm not beholden to them, but I do have some preferences, and I think as a guy, I look at women as just very beautiful and um, s- I think a lot of what women represent to me is something that I would like to be, more classy and more empathetic. I think that's the mother role. But I mean, of course, that can be said about men as well, right? The fatherhood role, you want to protect your family. But still, and I don't know, I guess some of that goes into the psychology of me being, you know, I mean, I had a mother, right? Everybody had a mother, but you know what I mean. I had a mother, and that whole relationship with my mother and her taking care of me, and you know, I don't know. I there's this cultural thing where guys are generally more rough and crude, and women are more classy. But again, I'm not beholden to that. I don't see any logical reason why it has to be that way. I think logically, both men and women should be as classy and respectful as possible. Just because I have outward genitalia does not mean that I have permission to be crude or rude or rough or anything like that. Um, However, again, let's put it this way. Again, I feel like both men and women should be respectful. Cursing is not respectful because you know we all know it's called offensive language for a reason, and some people are highly offended by it, others mildly, some don't care. And without you knowing beforehand where people stand, for you to just start cursing like that is to totally disregard, you know, other people's sensibilities, right? And that is the opposite of what a lady is. A lady, the word lady, people just put lady, you know, they assign, you know, as long as a woman isn't doing really, really bad things, then she's a lady. That's not how it works. I mean, look at the definition of a lady. Part of being a lady is classy, right? And you're you're concerned about those around you, right? So you think about what you say before you speak, right? So you wouldn't be cursing because you don't want to offend others, and it's not necessary to curse. You're intelligent enough to use uh, other words, right? So very not classy at all. But that goes both ways. Again, I see a lot of double standards. Men will be, you know, cursing and then they don't like their women cursing. But you know what? There's something called a gentleman. There's an old term becoming extinct, ladies and gentlemen. Right? A lady is classy, but so is a gentleman. A gentleman wouldn't be cursing either. Right? A gentleman is not going to be crude. A gentleman is going to also be, he's basically the male equivalent of a lady, right? So he's going to consider those around him and, you know, just wouldn't speak like that. But then this idea of she's talking about you know some women that they're not bitches, they're just giving out these bleep tests. Um, I disagree. Uh, Although being a gentleman, I will refrain from using the B word. It is a word, it does have a meaning, and I think that absolutely the B word does apply to the women that she's talking about. And this explanation of, oh, they're just giving out tests, you know, that's a cop what I've heard for so many years. It's like, for example, the idea of a woman that people would refer to as a bitch. She has friends, right? She has friends. So, you know, there'll be the cop out of, you know, I'm not a bitch. It's just, you know, people that disrespect me or whatever, whatever. But that applies to every so-called bitch, right? You know, every bitch has friends, right? So every bitch is gonna be picking and choosing who she's a quote unquote bitch to, right? So you can't just say that. It's like a serial killer. A serial killer may have friends and family or people that he loves, right? He or she loves, right? But then there's those people that they'll just kill. They're a serial killer. You know, take a violent gangster. Maybe he has a girlfriend that he's nice to, right? Maybe he has a mother that he loves, right? Does that make him any less of a gangster? It's the same thing. You know what I mean? So this excuse of test, listen, if you're not a bitch, then you won't act like a bitch. There's no excuses for it, right? It's not that, oh, it's tests. You know, giving an excuse for or bad behavior does not justify the behavior. A lady acts like a lady at all times, regardless of the situation. Even when she's aggravated or whatever. If things get really, really bad, a lady is intelligent enough to to excuse herself from the situation. Right? She's not going to stay there and allow herself to be pushed to be beyond limits where she's gonna, you know, lose her classiness to her. So there's really no excuse for it. And on that note, I'm gonna put this video to an end. This is a long video, it's a 13-minute video. I'm not gonna go through every single thing. I think I made a lot of the points that I wanted to make about it. Hopefully, this was a kind of a learning experience for some of you women, getting the cold hard truth about how not all men think, but how some men think, and in particular men who are um, probably of the type that you're looking for. You know, loyal, respectful gentlemen, right? All right, thanks for watching, and this is Finding Men's Secrets.